Launching rockets is great fun, but it's got to be done safely. Here's the basic kit we need. We've got a pressure bottle. The tube comes out of the pressure bottle and leads to the launcher. The biggest concern is that if the children crowd round the launcher and the bottle and the launcher too closely, then that's when mistakes are made. At all costs, we must have nobody in front of the launcher, and the more you crowd one thing towards the next, and several children here and one person here, the greater the tendency for this person to be pushed across the line. So we'll have a tape line, the launcher goes up to the line. The people who are involved in pressurising the bottle are as far back as allowable by the tube connecting the launcher and the bottle. So this person at the front may be kneeling by the line, isn't ahead of the line, and definitely isn't in front of the actual exit tube for the air, which is going to push the rocket off. So that's really important. What the children can tend to do is gradually edge towards the launcher, crowding this person here who's then in danger. So really making sure that the bottle is out of the way further back, and that anybody waiting to launch stands in a neat line behind them instead of bunching around the actual launcher itself. That's a really important thing. The bottle, the pressure bottles, work by, so for start with the handle fully out, 1 press, 2 presses, 3 presses, 4, etc. So 1 complete press all the way down and all the way back up. Typically 30, 35, 40 presses are used to get us a reasonable distance to fire a rocket. A well-made rocket will go further than a poorly made one. So some children will be a bit disappointed, but the quality of the rocket is important. If they make several, then choose the best one. Back to the launcher, the pressure bottle again. Let's say we've got 30 or 40 presses in here. Well, 30 or 40 presses and then press on the trigger, a jet of air comes out there. Now, even if somebody was tempted to look down the tube, that jet of air, it sounds like it's only air, but it's pressurised air, could give them a nasty shock, and it could, in theory, really hurt them. A blast of, what if somebody put 60 or 70 presses in and you didn't know? That might be quite a powerful blast of air. The rockets can fire from one end of the hole and hit the wall on the other end if we want them to. So there is quite a lot of pressure there. So that's why we're limiting down 30, 35, 40 or so presses. You can do more later when they get the hang of it. So looking down the tube is just a complete no-no. Anybody lifting up the launcher and pointing it, that's definitely not allowed. So that's got to be made really clear to the children. Once the launcher is on the line at the front there, then nobody picks it up to do anything with it. So it's really, really important then. So the pressure bottle's got a blue cap there, and with the blue cap, if you pull it up, so there's a bit of card there. If you pull the blue cap up, that releases the pressure in the bottle. So that's a safety release for us. When the children fire a rocket, so the rocket will go on, you know you've pressurised the bottle, the people at the back have counted how many presses, the person at the front puts the rocket on, gets ready to press, as long as the teacher says it's okay to do it, and you may need to have a whistle or something to let them know stop and start, then yeah, they'll fire it. But the temptation then is to chase after the rocket and go and pick it up and bring it back straight away. Well, everybody else is busy firing, so that's a very dangerous thing to do. So you can't fire a rocket and go and pick it up. You cannot do that. So once that rocket's been fired, the person who fired it, they go to the back of the queue. They could help put the next few presses of the pressure bottle. They could help put the presses in there, increase the pressure. And then the next person would come forward, so you've only ever got one person at the front firing their rocket. So that's another really important thing. The children have to know they can't go and collect their rocket until everybody with all the launchers has fired all the rockets. Everybody's moved back from the launchers, nobody's standing on the line. Then the teacher would give the instruction to pull the blue button, release all of the air pressure out of the bottle, and then the instruction, go and collect your rockets. So that's a really, really sort of quick run through of the whole thing. The positioning of the things, that's important, because if you start like that, then it's chaos straight away. You've got to start with the pressure bottle as far back out of the way as possible without pulling the whole thing over. And the children at the back have got to be very disciplined so that the person at the front gets the air pressure that they need in order to fire the rocket. So these people at the back can't huddle around. They've got to be well behaved, in a line preferably. When they go to pressurize the bottle, if one person kneels beside the bottle and holds the hand on the bottom, some children might want to hold the hand on the top, squashed hand, so we don't want that to happen. Hands on the bottom, and then another one of the children stands, best stands. This one might want to kneel, but that one's got to stand who's operating the handle, otherwise they can't get a proper press, and you'll end up with these little half presses, and then the rocket doesn't fire, and everybody gets very frustrated. The pressure bottles leak after a while. I mean, nothing's perfect. So if the children pressurize 35 presses, and then the person at the front is just taking their time about it, and they haven't even put their rocket on yet, and they're talking to the friends and that sort of thing, then by the time they do put the rocket on, the pressure might have dropped a little bit. So that's not going to give them very good results. After this person's fired, the next person goes into position, then we'll want to put maybe 4 or 5 more presses in to build the pressure back up, because we've lost some air. So lots to consider. Main thing, children out of the way at the back. Nobody crosses the line. Person kneeling on the line is the only one who puts their rocket on. The rest of them may wish to put their rockets in a line all along there, just so that they're not in their hands and don't get damaged while they're doing the pressurization part. So that's an important thing maybe as well. Rockets on the line, but one person at a time firing. That person's finished, goes to the back, helps with the pressurization perhaps. Next person comes forward. If they've decided who's number 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever beforehand, that would be of help as well. After all their instructions, and this happens to me as well, after all of the instructions, have a whistle, as soon as you hear this whistle, stop. That's really important. Best thing of the lot is nobody's allowed even to put a rocket on until you blow the whistle to start. And then the first thing that they do when you do blow the whistle again is take whichever rocket's there, take it off and depressurize, or wait for the instruction to depressurize it, whichever you want to do. So the children, when you give them all these instructions, they'll be very excited about it, and they'll have forgotten it within seconds. So I think just taking them through it slowly, reminding them about it, as soon as they see the first rocket fire, it spreads like wildfire through the children. Why isn't mine firing? I want to fire it now, and fire it before they've pressurized it properly. Then it's only gone 2 yards and they want to reach across the line. So you've got to really watch for things like that and be very strict about it until they get used to it. The children can have lots and lots of goes, but I would say in a very regimented way, sticking to the rules. Members of staff want to be receiving the rockets. Members of staff are going to be over there, but far enough away from the targets that they're not going to come to any harm, right? So that's a brief run through of how to do it safely. Blue button, depressurize, very important. At the angle of the launcher, once there's a red line under there, or a scored scratched line that you can see under there, most of them are red, but that red line under there, or that line, is really important. If all of the launchers are set at that line, that's 45 degrees. Don't let the children keep changing the angle all the time, otherwise it just loosens off here and then it flops around. So put it on the red line, maybe at the very start, get round and check every single one and tighten. There's a little tightening sort of toggle there. Tighten that and tell the children not to alter the angle at all. Fabulous. I think that'll do, and have fun firing.